There are seasons in life that make no sense until God reveals their purpose. Being single for a long time is one of those seasons. It can feel lonely, misunderstood, or even judged by others. But hear me clearly. When a woman walks through a long single season, it doesn't mean she is forgotten, broken, or unworthy. It means God is doing something deep, hidden, and holy within her life that no human eye can see. This season is not punishment. It's preparation. It's not delay. It's divine design. When a woman finds herself single for a long period, it is easy to believe that something must be wrong with her or that life has somehow passed her by. But in truth, such a season is not one of rejection. It is one of refinement. It is a time when heaven begins to shape, polish, and strengthen her soul in ways that only solitude can allow. Refinement is not punishment, it is preparation. Just as gold must go through fire to reveal its true beauty, a woman must often go through seasons of stillness where her identity is tested, her patience is stretched, and her faith is deepened. In this season, God is not taking something from her. He is giving her something invaluable, clarity about who she truly is. Many women are conditioned to find worth in relationships, attention, or validation. But when God calls a woman into a long season of singleness, He gently removes the distractions that once defined her. It is in this sacred silence that she learns that her value is not determined by who notices her, but by the one who created her. She begins to understand that she is not chosen because she fits someone's idea of perfection. She is chosen because she carries divine purpose. This revelation is powerful. It transforms insecurity into confidence and loneliness into intimacy with God. In refinement, she learns to rely not on external affirmation, but on internal peace. She becomes emotionally stronger, spiritually mature, and grounded in truth. This process of refinement is not always comfortable. There are nights when the waiting feels endless and questions echo louder than answers. But just like the process of purifying gold, the heat of waiting reveals what is most precious within her. Every disappointment, every delay, and every prayer that seems unanswered is actually part of the fire that purifies her heart. God is removing what does not serve her future, fear, self-doubt, and dependence on others, and replacing it with faith, purpose, and confidence in Him. She may feel hidden, but she is being held. What the world sees as isolation, heaven calls incubation. Refinement also reshapes her perspective on love and relationships. A woman who has walked through years of singleness begins to see that love is not meant to complete her, but to complement her. She learns that being alone is not the same as being lonely. In fact, she begins to cherish her own company, protect her peace, and value her time. She realizes that the wrong relationship can drain her faster than singleness ever could. And so she chooses to wait, not because she is picky, but because she is purposeful. She knows her worth now, and she refuses to settle for anything that pulls her away from who she has become in the presence of God. During this refining season, she discovers her voice, her vision, and her value. She might start building something meaningful, a business, a ministry, a dream she once buried beneath fear. She begins to step into the fullness of her calling, and through that, she finds that her life is already overflowing with purpose. The beauty of refinement is that it shifts her focus from what she lacks to what she carries. She no longer prays, God, send me someone, but instead prays, God, make me the woman who's ready when that person comes. Her focus changes from waiting for love to walking in destiny. An excellent example of this is found in the story of Esther. Before she ever stood before the king, Esther went through a long season of preparation. For an entire year, she was hidden away, being purified, trained, and prepared in ways no one saw. To the outside world, it might have looked like she was forgotten, just one of many waiting in line for her moment. But God knew that her waiting was not wasted. It was working. Every day in that hidden place was shaping her character, her strength, and her confidence. When her time finally came, she didn't have to fight for recognition. Her preparation spoke for her. Esther's refinement turned her from an ordinary woman into a vessel of deliverance for her people. Likewise, when a woman endures a long period of singleness, she is walking through her own Easter season. She may feel unseen, but she is being prepared for something far greater than she can imagine. She is being molded into someone who can handle the weight of her calling and the magnitude of her blessings. God is not saying no to her desires, he is saying, not yet, because he loves her too much to give her something that her current self cannot yet sustain. He wants her to enter the next chapter of her life as a refined, radiant, and resilient woman, one who knows her worth and walks in purpose. So, when a woman is single for a long time, it doesn't mean she has been rejected. It means she has been selected for refinement. It means heaven is investing time in her growth, polishing her heart until it shines with faith and wisdom. One day, when she looks back, she will see that the season she once despised was the very one that prepared her for everything she prayed for. Her refinement was never a sign of delay. It was the foundation of her destiny. When a woman remains single for a long time, it often means she has made a conscious and courageous choice to guard her peace instead of settling for chaos. In a world that constantly pressures people, especially women, to prove their worth through relationships or marriage, choosing peace over partnership can seem countercultural. Yet it is one of the most powerful and mature decisions a woman can make. She understands that her emotional stability, her relationship with God, and her mental well-being are far too valuable to be compromised by someone who cannot bring alignment to her spirit. Guarding her peace is not an act of pride. It is an act of wisdom and deep self-respect. Such a woman knows that love, when it is right, should not come at the expense of her peace. She has seen what happens when people rush into relationships out of fear of loneliness or societal pressure. She has watched friends lose their joy, their identity, and even their dreams because they settle for someone who was not aligned with their purpose. So she decides to wait patiently and faithfully, trusting that the right person will come in the right time, someone who adds to her peace, not takes from it. This choice requires tremendous strength because guarding peace often means standing alone when others are pairing off. It means declining attention that flatters the ego but drains the soul. It means saying no to chaos disguised as companionship. This kind of woman is not bitter or hopeless. She is discerning. She recognizes that peace is one of God's greatest gifts and refuses to trade it for the temporary comfort of company. She has learned to find joy in her own presence, to appreciate silence, and to understand that loneliness and aloneness are not the same. Loneliness cries out for someone to fill the emptiness, but aloneness embraces the quiet where God speaks most clearly. In her solitude, she builds her inner strength, deepens her faith, and learns to listen to the still, small voice of God. She becomes spiritually attuned to what brings her rest and what disturbs her peace, and this sensitivity becomes her guiding compass for every relationship and decision. Guarding peace also means learning boundaries. A woman who has been single for a long time learns to protect her energy. She doesn't let just anyone have access to her emotions. She recognizes that not everyone who enters her life deserves a seat at her table. She measures relationships not by charm or appearance, but by consistency, respect, and spiritual alignment. When someone threatens her peace through manipulation, emotional games, or dishonesty, she no longer feels obligated to stay. She walks away not out of pride, but because she understands that peace is too expensive to lose for temporary companionship. Her singleness becomes a sanctuary rather than a prison. The beauty of this kind of waiting is that it transforms her from a woman seeking validation to a woman living in purpose. She learns to fill her days with meaning, serving others, pursuing her dreams, nurturing her relationship with God, and creating a life she loves. She discovers that fulfillment is not dependent on relationship status, but on spiritual alignment. This inner peace radiates outward. It becomes her confidence, her quiet strength, her unshakable joy. An excellent example of this can be seen in the story of Ruth before she met Boaz. Ruth did not chase after anyone to fill her loneliness. After losing her husband, she could have returned to her homeland to start over and remarry, but instead she chose peace and purpose. She followed Naomi, stayed faithful, and worked diligently in the fields. She guarded her peace by focusing on what was right, not on what was missing. Her calm obedience and inner stability positioned her for a divine connection that was healthy, peaceful, and purposeful. When Boaz entered her life, it wasn't through desperation, but through destiny. Her peace led her to the right person at the right time. In modern terms, think of a woman who ends a relationship that constantly brings anxiety, uncertainty, and emotional exhaustion. She could stay because she's afraid of starting over, but she chooses peace instead. In the months that follow, she rediscovers herself. She travels, learns new things, deepens her faith, and finds that her nights are no longer filled with tears, but with gratitude. One day, when love re-enters her life, it will not compete with her peace. It will protect it. That's the power of waiting well. So when a woman stays single for a long time, it doesn't mean she is unloved or overlooked. It means she values her peace more than pretense. It means she refuses to compromise her emotional health just to meet societal expectations. It means she has chosen growth over gossip, serenity over stress, and purpose over pressure. Her peace is not negotiable because she knows that peace is the soil in which real love grows. And when the right person finally appears, they will recognize her peace not as weakness, but as strength. They will see that her stillness is sacred, her patience is powerful, and her waiting was worth it. Because she chose peace over chaos, her love story will begin not in confusion, but in clarity. Her long season of singleness will stand as proof that sometimes God's greatest blessings come to those who were brave enough to protect their peace until the promise arrived. When a woman is single for a long time, it often means she is growing spiritually, not standing still. This kind of growth is sacred, deep, and transformative. It's not visible to everyone around her, but it's the kind of growth that changes her from within. During this season, God is doing quiet work beneath the surface, stretching her faith, purifying her motives, and revealing her true identity in Him. The world might interpret her singleness as stagnation, but heaven sees it as divine development. It's the season where her roots grow deep before her branches can spread wide. When distractions are removed, the heart becomes a clearer vessel for divine transformation. For a woman who has been single for a long time, that solitude is not empty, it's fertile. In the absence of constant noise and relationship drama, she begins to hear God's voice more clearly. She learns to depend on Him for comfort, direction, and companionship. Her prayers shift from asking for someone to love her to asking to be molded into someone who loves deeply, wisely, and with purpose. She starts to understand that her relationship with God is not just something to sustain her until someone arrives. It is the relationship that defines her entire existence. Spiritual growth during this time also means learning surrender. A woman in this season learns to let go of timelines, expectations, and comparisons. She begins to realize that God's plan does not always move at the speed of her desires, but it always moves at the pace of her purpose. Every unanswered prayer and every closed door becomes a lesson in trust. She learns to lean into faith rather than fear. Her quiet time with God becomes her sanctuary. Her worship becomes her weapon. Her waiting becomes her training ground. She might have moments where she feels forgotten, but those moments become opportunities for deeper intimacy with God. Instead of looking outward for validation, she starts to look upward for direction. Her confidence shifts from appearance to anointing, from status to substance, from popularity to purpose. She's being strengthened not for approval, but for assignment. This season of singleness becomes her spiritual gym. Every moment of waiting builds her endurance, patience, and faith. This growth also brings awareness. She starts to recognize who she is apart from the opinions of others. She begins to walk in her identity as a beloved daughter of God, not someone who needs to earn love or prove her worth. That inner transformation empowers her to dream again, to create, to serve, and to walk boldly in her calling. Some women discover gifts they never knew they had during their single years: leadership, creativity, wisdom, and compassion. These gifts begin to bloom because the soil of their soul is finally still enough for God to plant something lasting. As her faith deepens, so does her spiritual authority. She becomes a woman who prays with conviction, who speaks truth with grace, and who carries peace wherever she goes. She may not realize it, but her quiet season is producing power. She becomes a woman whose heart is aligned with heaven's heartbeat, whose eyes see beyond circumstances, and whose spirit can withstand storms. When she eventually enters a relationship, she brings not just affection, but strength, discernment, and maturity. She no longer looks for someone to complete her because she has become whole in God. Her love will not come from need, but from overflow. A beautiful example of this can be seen in the life of Mary of Bethany. While others were busy seeking recognition, Mary chose to sit at the feet of Jesus, listening and learning. Many may have thought she was doing nothing important, but she was actually growing spiritually, absorbing wisdom, and cultivating devotion. When her sister Martha was distracted by duties, Mary was drawn to the divine. That stillness, that hunger for God's presence became her strength. Later, when she anointed Jesus with expensive perfume, she understood something spiritually profound that others miss it. She was preparing him for his burial. Her intimacy with God gave her revelation that business could never produce. Mary's quiet devotion became her power. Likewise, a woman who is single and growing spiritually is not idle. She is sitting at the feet of God, learning, being transformed, and preparing for a purpose greater than herself. So, when a woman remains single for a long time, it's not because life has paused, it's because heaven is at work. God is investing in her inner world before elevating her outer one. He's building her faith so that when storms come, she doesn't break. He's refining her character so that when love comes, she doesn't lose herself in it. He's giving her wisdom so that when she speaks, she carries the weight of grace and truth. This kind of growth cannot be rushed or replaced. It must be lived and learned. In time, when love arrives, she will not be a half waiting to be made whole. She will be a complete woman ready to share her completeness. She will bring peace, strength, and faith into that relationship, not fear or insecurity. Her waiting will have matured her. Her prayers will have guided her, and her faith will have grounded her. And when she looks back, she will see that what she once called a waiting season was actually a season of becoming. Her singleness was not an empty space. It was sacred ground where God taught her how to walk with him before walking with anyone else. When a woman remains single for a long time, it doesn't mean she's been forgotten, overlooked, or left behind. It often means she's being positioned for purpose. What looks like delay from a human point of view is often divine alignment from heaven's perspective. God never wastes time. He uses it. The waiting season that feels silent and still is the space where he carefully arranges her future, shapes her heart, and aligns every piece of her destiny for something far greater than she could imagine. What others might see as emptiness, heaven sees as preparation. Positioning for purpose means that God is preparing her not just for a relationship, but for her calling, her mission, and her influence. He's working on her foundation because what she's called to carry requires stability. Sometimes God will hold her back from certain things, not to punish her, but to protect her from distractions that would derail her destiny. He withholds certain relationships, not because she's undeserving, but because her assignment requires her full focus and faith. There are doors she hasn't walked through yet because God is still preparing the stage for her entrance. This divine positioning is subtle and slow, but sacred. It's like the process of a seed buried deep in the soil. From the surface, it looks like nothing is happening, but underground, roots are spreading wide and deep. The seed is being positioned for life above the surface. Likewise, a woman in her single season may feel buried, but in truth, she's being planted. Her potential is taking root. Her purpose is maturing in the unseen. When the time is right, she will rise, not randomly, but in perfect timing and divine alignment. God often hides those he's about to reveal. This is a spiritual pattern repeated throughout Scripture and life. When something precious is being shaped, it's not displayed publicly. It's kept safe. The longer the preparation, the greater the purpose. A woman who seems to have been left behind is often the one being held back because her calling requires a deeper preparation. Some women are called to impact lives, lead others, and carry influence beyond what they can currently see. For that kind of purpose, a long season of singleness is not a delay, it's training. God uses solitude to strengthen her character, to teach her how to rely on him completely, and to ensure that when her purpose unfolds, she will have the humility, grace, and wisdom to carry it well. Many times, positioning also involves redirection. She may think her life is headed one way, but God quietly shifts her path. He might close certain doors that seemed good but weren't best. He may allow her to experience disappointment, not to discourage her, but to steer her. These moments are not setbacks, they're setups. What feels like loss is actually alignment. Every no, Every ending and every unanswered prayer is God rearranging circumstances to bring her into the fullness of his plan. A powerful example of this truth can be found in the story of Joseph in the Bible. Though not a woman, his journey beautifully mirrors the process of divine positioning. He was given dreams of greatness, yet found himself betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned. To the world, it looked like he was left behind, forgotten, and abandoned. But every hardship was actually moving him closer to his divine purpose. Each step that seemed like a detour was a direction. When the time came, Joseph was suddenly elevated to a position of power that allowed him to save an entire nation. His waiting was not wasted, it was preparation. In the same way, when a woman walks through a long season of singleness or delay, it's because God is preparing her for something powerful, something that will require the strength, wisdom, and faith developed in her waiting. In modern times, think of a woman who dreams of marriage and family, but finds herself single well into her 30s or 40s. While others build families, she builds her faith. She pours herself into her work, her calling, or her ministry. At first, she feels behind, watching others reach milestones she has yet to experience. But as time passes, she begins to see God's fingerprints all over her journey. Her influence grows. She becomes a mentor to younger women, a voice of wisdom and encouragement, a leader in her community. Later, when she looks back, she realizes she was never behind. She was being set apart. The very things she once viewed as delays were actually divine setups that gave her strength, depth, and direction. Positioning for purpose is often misunderstood because it doesn't look glamorous. It looks like waiting, praying, and trusting when nothing seems to change. It looks like watching others move ahead while God keeps you still. But stillness is not stagnation, it's strategy. God positions his daughters with precision. He ensures that when the right moment arrives, she is not just ready for it, but mature enough to handle it. So when a woman remains single for a long time, she is not being left out. She is being led forward quietly and purposefully. Her journey may look slower, but her foundation is stronger. She is being aligned with the right people, opportunities, and timing. When her breakthrough comes, it will be clear that nothing was random. Every delay, every tear, every lonely night was a thread in the masterpiece of her destiny. And when God finally brings her into her purpose, it will not just bless her, it will bless everyone connected to her story. Because being positioned for purpose was never about being left behind. It was always about being prepared for something far greater than she imagined. When a woman is single for a long time, it often means she's learning one of life's most powerful lessons, the art of wholeness before union. It's easy to believe that love will complete what feels missing inside, but the truth is that love is not meant to fill emptiness. It is meant to overflow from fullness. Two halves do not make a healthy relationship. Two whole people do. When a woman spends years on her own, she is being given the sacred opportunity to discover who she truly is without leaning on someone else to define her. This season is not wasted time. It's the foundation of emotional, spiritual, and personal strength that will one day sustain a healthy partnership. Wholeness means being complete within yourself, emotionally steady, spiritually grounded, and mentally secure. It's the process of learning that your value isn't dependent on being chosen, but on being created by a God who already calls you enough. When a woman is single for a long period, she learns to find joy in her own company, to embrace silence without loneliness, and to be confident in her worth without external affirmation. She realizes that peace is not something she must chase. It is something she cultivates within. Her days are no longer defined by waiting for someone to arrive, but by building a life that reflects who she truly is. In that process, she learns emotional maturity. She learns that love isn't a rescue mission and a relationship isn't a solution to pain. Instead of looking for someone to heal her wounds, she allows God to touch the broken places within her heart. Her prayers shift from "God, send me someone" to "God, make me whole." It is in that transformation that she becomes powerful. She is no longer led by desperation, but by discernment. She doesn't fall for charm, she looks for character. She doesn't settle for attention, she seeks alignment. The woman who once feared being alone becomes the woman who refuses to be with anyone who disturbs her peace. When a woman is whole, she no longer loves from a place of need. She loves from a place of abundance. She brings peace, joy, and security into a relationship rather than expecting those things to come from it. That kind of love is strong because it's built on independence, not insecurity. She's not afraid of losing someone because she knows she will never lose herself again. Her singleness becomes her training ground for self-respect and emotional boundaries. She learns how to say no when something doesn't align with her values, and yes only when her spirit agrees. This process of becoming whole doesn't happen overnight. It's shaped through experiences, heartbreaks that teach her resilience, disappointments that teach her patience, and seasons of loneliness that teach her to depend on God. She learns that her value doesn't fluctuate based on her relationship status. It's during this time that she discovers her passions, strengthens her talents, and builds her life purpose. She becomes so focused on growth that love, when it eventually appears, becomes an addition, not a destination. An excellent example of this can be seen in the story of Ruth. Before Ruth met Boaz, she wasn't chasing love, she was chasing purpose. She had lost her husband and could have returned to her homeland in defeat, but she chose instead to stay with Naomi, to serve faithfully, and to rebuild her life through hard work and devotion. She gleaned in the fields, not for recognition, but to survive with dignity. That's where Boaz noticed her, not because she was searching for someone, but because she was walking in integrity. Ruth didn't wait passively. She built her life actively. Her wholeness drew the right man to her. And when love finally found her, it wasn't to complete her, but to complement her. Similarly, in today's world, imagine a woman who decides to stop chasing relationships that don't honor her worth. She spends years focusing on her education, her career, her health, and her relationship with God. At first, people question her choices, assuming she's being too picky or too proud. But she knows her heart is still healing, her dreams are still forming, and her faith is still growing. Over time, she becomes strong, peaceful, and fulfilled. Then, one day, love finds her, not when she's looking for it, but when she's already complete. She meets someone who doesn't fill her emptiness, but joins her fullness, and together they build something balanced and beautiful. When a woman learns wholeness before union, she transforms how she sees love. She no longer looks for someone to fix her, she looks for someone to walk beside her. Her strength doesn't intimidate her partner, it inspires them. Her love doesn't cling, it uplifts. And because she learned to stand alone, she will never collapse when someone walks away. Her confidence is rooted in something far deeper than human connection. It's anchored in divine purpose. So, when a woman has been single for a long time, it's not a sign that she's unlovable. It's a sign that she's being built into someone strong enough to love in the right way. She's learning patience, peace, and presence. She's learning that love will come not to complete her, but to celebrate her completeness. And when that moment finally arrives, she won't lose herself in the relationship, she'll expand within it. Because she took the time to become whole, her love will be mature, steady, and lasting. She won't just find love, she'll bring love wherever she goes. So if you're a woman who's been single for a long time, don't see yourself as left out. See yourself as set apart. Don't see your life as delayed. See it as divinely timed. God is preparing you for something that requires the kind of strength only silence and solitude can build. You are not waiting for love. Love is waiting for you to finish becoming who you were created to be. The woman who remains single for a long time isn't unlucky. She's in training for greatness. And when her time comes, everything she prayed for will make sense. So hold your head high, walk with grace, stay in purpose, because when God finally unfolds the story, He's writing for you. The waiting will prove to have been worth every single moment.